Hi, welcome to a very special edition of this Shavuot TV live session today, where we're going to be focusing on Shavuot and marriage. In my theme of teaching about relationships, I really want to look at how Shavuot is comparable to a wedding and a marriage, and hopefully you'll either gain something from your knowledge of relationships to enhance your understanding of Shavuot, or you'll gain something from your understanding of Shavuot to enhance relationships. Either way, I'll take either one. Okay. So why have I decided that Shavuot is like a wedding? Well, it's not difficult to see, really, because a wedding works backwards, right? You go all the way back to the proposal, and then the proposal is followed by the engagement, and then there's the wedding. And if you look at historically at our calendar, you have this excuse me, monumental occasion, which is the leaving of Egypt, where God comes in off his white horse and sweeps us off our feet, the Jewish nation. And there are miracles and fireworks, and the whole thing is just such a shebang. And you know, us, the bride, like waiting to be rescued from the relationship that we've been in with Egypt until now, you know, are so happy for this Prince King to come in and just make everything better. There's this beautiful, unbelievable description of miracles as we say yes to God. That's the engagement period. And then there is the Omer, the counting of the 49 days. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then finally, we have this wedding, this Shavuot, the time where God says, okay, now it's time for the proper commitment. And we stand by the mountain of Sinai, and God says, are you in? And we say, we are in. And that's it. That's the wedding. That's the binding, the final binding between God and his people through the giving of the Torah, the contract of the Torah, which is the wedding contract over here. And it really is like a wedding day. We're going to see how many similarities there are to Shavuot and the wedding in a moment. Okay, so what's interesting though is that the engagement normally is a counting down period. Okay, I've got 2 months to go, 5 months to go, 2 years to go, 3 weeks to go, 5 days to go. I'm so excited. We're counting the time. We can't wait for the time to pass. We can get to the wedding day. And in the tradition, the Jewish tradition, during the Omer, we don't count down, actually. We count up. We say today is day 1 and tomorrow is day 2 and tomorrow is day 3, the next day is day 3, and so on and so forth until we get to day 49. So when you're excited about something, you don't tend to count up. You don't say, oh, you know, 1 week into counting down to my holiday. Oh, 2 weeks into counting down to my holiday. On the contrary, we count the time down. But that's something different happening over here. Whilst we can't wait for the time to pass, we're not just killing the time, we're using the time. We were not in a good state when we got engaged, us, the Jewish people. We were leaving Egypt, we were downtrodden, we've been in a very foreign culture for a very long time. We didn't really have our identity. And God says, okay, this engagement period, you're going to get yourself ready for this wedding, but you're not just going to use the time to get some dresses fitted. You're going to build yourselves. This is going to be the 49 days where every day there is a new nuance to add to your spiritual makeup, to really enhance yourself, so that by the time we meet God at this canopy, we're really ready. So we're counting up. It's an engagement period, but we're counting up. We're building up. We're not buying more flowers and more dresses and more makeup. We're investing in our spiritual selves and building. And if you are listening to this class and thinking, oh, shoot, I didn't use the Omer well, you're in good company. I know I feel the same way, but it's okay. I once made a bar mitzvah in a week. And I was once really privileged to help prepare a wedding in a day. Don't ask, it's a long story. But we're not at Shavuot yet. So whatever time there is left between now and Shavuot coming, even if it is just a 24-hour period, it's an amazing time to say, I'm not just going to walk in completely unprepared. I'm going to spend a little bit of time preparing. Look, you're at a class, so you are preparing. I'm going to spend a little bit of time reading. I'm going to spend a little bit of time meditating. I want to walk in. I want to be a prepared bride for this beautiful occasion. I want to understand what it means to receive the Torah. I want to understand a little bit of what that wisdom is. And I want to walk in really with my heart open. So really you have 49 days to do that. The engagement is an engagement, but it's a count up, not a countdown. And then finally we arrive at this beautiful day of Shavuot, and we have this contract, okay? This, I guess it's a ketubah if you're in a real wedding, or like between a man and a woman. And here we have the contract of the Torah if you're the Jewish wedding, right, between God and his people. And we ask ourselves the question, really, why do you need commitment? Like, this is a great question. I've heard people ask this question before. If I really love somebody, why do I need to prove my commitment by signing my life away on a piece of paper? You know, somebody said to me once, like, why would I get married? It just means that I risk having to spend money on divorce lawyers if it doesn't work out. If I want to be here, I want to be here. And if I don't, I don't. I should be able to leave. Like, why do I have to prove my commitment? So let's talk about how important it is to be free to leave a relationship and how important it is also to be committed to it. You know, as you may have heard if you followed the series before, when we talk about abuse, one of the most important aspects of a non-abusive relationship is the capacity for everybody to realize that they're here because they want to be, and anybody has the right to leave whenever they want to. That is the underpinning of a relationship, is that I'm here really because I choose to be and because I want to be. And that's true also in a committed relationship. But throughout our lives, we will have relationships that will last as long as they suit one person or the other. We've had friendships that were beautiful, but they were our university friendships that never really lasted. We've had people in our lives who were really helpful, and there is a real turnover in terms of relationship, and that's part of the beauty of relationship. I'm not stuck in it just because I met you once and we were friends. We were friends, either we maintained it or we didn't. That's part of the prerogative of a relationship. But there's something very unusual about a real commitment, and it doesn't happen in many relationships. It happens perhaps with parents and their children. It happens with husbands and their wives, and it happens with the Jewish people and God, where there is a sense of, okay, I'm going to make an official commitment. Why is that? Because I'm not here as long as this works. I'm not here as long as this is good for me. I'm not here as long as you are keeping to your side of things. I'm here. I know enough about this relationship to know that I'm completely in, I'm deeply in. You can have a bad day. You can have a bad week. You can have a bad year. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to turn around and say, well, I was in when I chose to, and now I'm leaving. We can leave if we really have to, but it's a complicated ceremony to leave. It's a complicated procedure because we don't want leaving to be easy. We want to create a kind of deep sense of, I'm not in it as long as this is working for me. I'm just in it. I'm so clear that this relationship is a lifetime commitment, that I'm in, full stop. It's not even threatening for me to sign my life away on a piece of paper, because there's nowhere else I want to go. And I want you to know that even if you're having a bad day, and this is what God says to the Jewish people, and even says the Jewish people to God, when in history we don't understand what your plans are and why life is difficult. This is a history-long commitment. The Jewish people to God and God to the Jewish people, the husband to the wife and the wife to the husband, even through difficult times. And if anything, we can say that on Shavuot, the commitment runs even deeper, because there's a way out of a marriage, but there's no way out of God's love for us. That is an eternal promise for us as a nation. So commitment does add something. It allows a person to know, I don't have to prove anything to have you want to stay with me. This is not a conditional relationship. There are conditions about how we want the relationship to be managed. There are rules. We're going to talk about that in a second. But my wanting to be with you, that's untouchable. That's forever. Okay, so let's move on to discuss this question of rules. What do you mean rules? Okay, there's this funny little song that we used to sing as children, okay? And one day I was hearing myself sing it as a child and thinking, like, weird song. Okay, so I won't sing it, in this public forum, but I'll almost sing it. It goes, Hashem gave us a present. Do you know what it was? He gave us the Torah so we could keep his laws. Stop, rewind, excuse me. Hashem gave us a present. Do you know what it was? For me, if it's a good present, you got to be able to wear it or eat it. Like, I don't know, but like, what does that mean? There's a rule book. Hi, thank you very much for having me for Shabbat. I brought you a set of rules. Like, what does that mean, a present? Presents and law books do not go together. Okay, we're gonna go into this soon. This idea of understanding why it is that this is such a gift. But let's take a look at what rules actually really do. Okay, so when I have a rule, what I'm doing is I'm setting a context for what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay, a rule, if you like, is a context or a contour. So let's say my goal is to, lose weight. So then my rule is I have to exercise every day and I have to cut out the sugar. Let's say I want to keep a clean house. So my rule is, all clothes that we have to put back in their place in the laundry basket or in the cupboard at the end of the day. You know, rules are there to allow us to accomplish something that's very important to us. If I say, go ahead, go for it, woohoo, you're going to be great, do it. And I look at you and just say, like, what do you mean do it? You know, you don't say to a kid, like, go on, do something great. Like, that's so unhelpful. That's so unhelpful. Say, I bought some arts and crafts, let's build it together. If I don't know how to accomplish something that's really important to me, then I am completely lost. I'm completely lost. So, you know, there's this fun riddle that we ask at the Shabbat table sometimes, which is, you know, who has more freedom over here? Is it the person who, like, there's two people in a room and there are 10 doors. One person, you know, has the key to every door, but they don't know which one they want to go through. And the other person knows which one they want to go through, but they have no keys. Okay, who is more free? You know, and you can ask this question. It's a fun theoretical question. But what you're going to see eventually is, like, you kind of need both. Like, if I need to know where I'm going, otherwise the ability to go there, it doesn't help me. Could go where, you know, and I also have to be able to get there, because if I know where I'm going but I can't get there, I'm also stuck. They're both aspects of freedom. I need to accomplish something, but I need to know how to accomplish something. What a rule does is it gives me the freedom to. We think about freedom as freedom from. I'm sure people have had this idea before. If I'm very stuck in prison, I want freedom from, but freedom to, you know, there's this incredibly amazing phenomenon, which is like very scary and very, you know, it elicits a lot of deep thought, which is that, you know, during the Holocaust, you had a situation where, of course, people were prisoners and they were dreaming of liberation for you know, those who survived until the very end. And then one day the gates were opened, and, you know, we have beautiful stories and accounts of the American soldiers coming to liberate the camps. And there was this big announcement, like, you are now free. And what did people do? They wandered out of the camps. They were actually able to go through these doors that had locked them in and deprived them of life itself and identity and family and everything. And they wandered out, and then they wandered back in again. So you have your freedom. Now what? I don't know where to start. I don't know where to begin. Where do I go from here? And they wandered back inside. And then, of course, at some point, they got the help that they needed to really move on, and DP camps and all the rest of it. But if I am just running away from something, but I don't know to where I am going, I don't really have freedom. I have this fake sense of freedom, but there's nowhere for me to go. I can run through a door, but I don't know which door to go through, or I can try getting through a door that I can't open. There is no sense of freedom unless I have a method to get there. The rules in a relationship are not there to take away from the beauty of the relationship. They're there to say, hold on, these rules are not arbitrary rules. They're there to actually allow us to build something that we want to build together. So if the rule is, you know, we want our love to be just between the two of us, if what we're trying, sorry, the goal is we want our love to be just between the two of us, then the rule is, you know, like, we're faithful. If we want our home to be a home, you know, that is orderly, so that we can, you know, enjoy life and breathe and find things, then maybe we'll have, I don't know, chores and cleanup. If we want our relationship to be about depth and meaning, then maybe we'll set aside time for reflective conversation. You know, if you look at a date night, people do this thing called date night, because, like, people's lives are so busy, as like a rule, yeah, I'm gonna have to spend 3 hours with you, you know. So then you've forgotten what you're trying to accomplish. A rule only feels like a real burden if you've forgotten what it's trying to accomplish, or if it doesn't accomplish what you want it to be accomplishing. But what our rules are in our marriages, you know, all the unspoken rules, all the spoken rules, all the commitment sensitivities, they're there to help us accomplish what we want to accomplish. And that's true of the rules in Judaism too. They're not there arbitrarily. They become burdensome if we don't know what they're trying to help us accomplish. But when they are there to actually allow us to really have the freedom to accomplish what they're there to help us accomplish, right? If I know that I'm trying to lose weight, and that's the reason that I'm not eating, you know, the mac and cheese, you know, like, that's part of what I'm trying to accomplish. If it helps me with my goal, and my goal is exciting to me, and it's in line with what I want, it's not a bad rule. It could be a difficult rule, it could be a demanding rule, but it no longer feels like just a rule. It feels like a piece of my ability to have the freedom to accomplish what I want to accomplish. So rules are important, and this takes us to the next one, which is, you know, it's not just a set of rules, it's a set of rules that are trying to accomplish something which is very meaningful to us. Why is it that God gave us a present? Do you know what it was? He gave us the Torah so we could keep his laws. Why is that a gift? It's a gift because we all want something. All us humans want something. We want many things, but there's one thing that we really, really want. We want meaning. You know, you might say, no, I don't. I want happiness. Well, you know, do a little bit of work on it and you'll see how interlinked the two are, okay? We want the happiness that comes from a fulfilled life. We want meaning. It's all one and the same notion. It's just whether you're looking at the cause or the effect of it. So in our pursuit of meaning, we don't know how to get meaning by ourselves. If we were thrown into this world and somebody said to us, go for it, go get meaning, we wouldn't know whether the right way to get meaning is to paint a tree green or to, you know, extract our wisdom teeth. I'm quoting a bad song, I'm sorry. You know, we wouldn't know how to really go about getting meaning unless we were given certain instructions from the arbiter of meaning, and that's God. So when God gave us this Torah, the rule book, the rules are there to help us accomplish the goals, but the goals are there to help us accomplish meaning. And without this, we would be completely lost. We would be having fights all day long about what is moral and what is not moral. We would have no way of knowing north from south and south from north, because we would not know ultimately if we were making it up. So this freedom that we have from this Torah, from this book, that allows us to achieve meaning, you know, that we want our marriages to be meaningful too. We don't just want to be in a partnership. We want to be in a relationship. We want our marriage to be a platform for meaning. Our Torah is there to help us achieve meaning, and our marriage is the practical environment in which the two of us can grow together to achieve meaning. And you'll see that when your marriages are feeling flat, you know, it could be that they're missing a certain aspect of meaning in them. Marriage is a platform for meaning. Torah is an instructions book for meaning. The two come hand in hand together. Okay, let's look at our clock. Ooh, quick. Let's move on. Okay, what's next? Okay, this is a really interesting question. So we know that, you know, on every one of our big occasions, we have these like really cool mitzvah, right? So there's an icon, and the icon comes with a little strap line, okay? There's a mitzvah and it comes with a little bracha. So if I say to you the Jewish New Year, you would take a moment to think about it, and then you'd say, oh, I know, there's the shofar, there's the ram's horn, that is the icon, as well as the apple and the honey, separate point. And, you know, and we make a bracha on the shofar. If I would say to you, Pesach, what's the icon? The icon there is the matzah, and there's a special prayer we say specifically for the matzah on Pesach. The sukkah, the tabernacles, right? Tabernacles. There is the sukkah, the hut that we sit outside in, and there's a special blessing that we say on it. Every special occasion has its cool thing. What's the cool thing on Shavuot? There isn't one. There isn't one. How do we explain this? The closest thing we can think of to like doing the Shavuot, you know, mitzvah commandment is like eating cheesecake. Like, what is going on? How come on the most momentous occasion where we actually receive the Torah on which everything is founded, there isn't a particular mitzvah? And that's exactly the answer. The whole thing is founded on this. You cannot squish it into one little tiny thing. What we do instead on Shavuot is we just celebrate the enormous privilege of this unbelievable opportunity. What we have over here is we have something that's priceless. So you could have a lot of money and you can walk into a very expensive jeweler shop and you can buy a lot of expensive jewelry, or maybe a little bit of very expensive jewelry, depending on how much money you have. And you can walk in and say, like, I have $1 million, like, I want that necklace. You know, but when you walk into your home and there's your grandma's family heirloom, okay, there's no price tag on that. You can't squish that into one little icon. What do you need? How do you pay for your grandma's family heirloom? You know how you pay? You pay with wanting it badly enough that you'll look after it nicely. Your grandma's not going to charge you, and she's not going to accept any money from you either. But if she sees that you care about the family legacy and the family heritage and her story and her past, and you will look after this heirloom and you will pass it on to your grandchildren, the grandchildren that will take care of it, that will look after it, that will appreciate the privilege, that's enough. There is no price tag. There is no one little mitzvah that encapsulates this whole hug, because this is not a hug about a small angle of our existence. This is the whole thing. The way to really earn the privilege is by recognizing what a deep privilege it is. And that's through relationships too. You can't put a price on the privilege of a relationship. How do you earn the relationship? By wanting it badly enough, by wanting to treat it with care, with kid gloves, by caring about it. The only way to celebrate a wedding is to be thoroughly joyous. The only way to really have a mitzvah for the hug is for Shavuot, is to care so much about it that you're so joyful about it. Which is why, the thing that we do is cheesecake. We just eat and we celebrate and we say, wow, this is a great occasion. I'm so conscious of what a beautiful occasion this is. I'm so happy to be here. I recognize the privilege of this. And it's very easy to get bogged down in Jewish law and say, wow, I've got to wash my hands in the morning, and wow, I can't eat this and that, and wow, you know, it's controlling how I sleep and how I eat and what I wear and what I think. You can get bogged down in the details, but that means that you've forgotten the privilege. You can get bogged down in the details of marriage. You can worry about having to, I don't know, keep a house and you know, and have to, like, I don't know, help each other by doing different chores. You can get bogged down in the details if you want to. But what you really need to do is take a step back and say, I'm so grateful. This is so important. I'm so lucky. And that sense of joy is what's going to carry us through our marriage, what's going to take us into to be worthy recipients of this marriage with God, of this ability to receive the Torah. What it means to receive the Torah is that you now have all the secrets to living a really deeply moral life, and you have the responsibility of sharing that with others. That's a great privilege. Before you start worrying about the details, feel that amazing sense of gratitude. That's what we learned from there not being one particular mitzvah on Shavuot. The mitzvah is the joy of it all. Okay, and then what we do is we celebrate with flowers. Okay, now it's funny because we celebrate with flowers on Shavuot and we celebrate with flowers on weddings. So we must talk about flowers for a minute. So what is it about flowers? What is it about flowers that make them such a great gift or such a terrible gift? I mean, think about it. You know, they are very expensive, they look beautiful, and then within a week they're dead. And why is a flower a good gift? Okay, apart from the fact that it smells gorgeous and it looks gorgeous, you know, you spend a fortune over something that's going to die in 2 seconds flat. Why? Because when I'm buying you a practical gift, I'm going to buy you a book. Okay, why? Because I want you to read it and maybe I'll borrow it from you. Okay, I'm going to buy you something for your kitchen. Why? Because I want you to make us some delicious food. Why on earth am I spending good money on flowers? They're going to be dead in a week. Why am I doing this? I just want to give you some pleasure. That's all. I just want to give you pleasure. This is not long lasting. This is not meaningful. You will not have this in 5 years' time. You will not be able to pass this on to anybody else. This is just simply to embellish what is, to make you smile, to make the house look gorgeous, even if it's just for the 3 days that they last. When we really care about something, we go out of our way to put more effort into it than it is required. During the week, I make a very simple meal. Okay, on Shabbat, I make a 4-course meal, and I often laugh and I think to myself, do you know every one of those courses is a weekday meal? And the first course we might have on Wednesday night for our supper, and the main course is Tuesday night and Thursday night combined. We make so much more food than we need on Shabbat. Why? Because we want to go above and beyond. We want to do more than is necessary. When we give flowers, there's almost no practical outcome. They look pretty, they look gorgeous, but what they do is they say, this is so important to me. I want to go above and beyond and make it beautiful. I want to spend silly amounts of money. I warned my husband this year, I'm spending silly amounts of money on flowers. We want to make it more beautiful because it means so much to us. We want to put more effort into it than we possibly can. That's the attitude to receive the Torah for Shavuot, and it's the attitude for a wedding when we're so excited about what we're celebrating. What a pleasure, what a privilege, what a gift. Okay, I know you're all very impatient. Time's running out. Let's talk about the wedding night. Okay, very briefly, which isn't really fair because it's a big conversation. But, you know, there's an expression to know somebody in the biblical sense of the word, which is code for to be physically intimate with them. And that expression actually comes from Genesis, because when Adam and Eve are physically intimate, it's called, you know, it says, and he knew her. And from there, we understand that there is a connection between knowledge and physical intimacy. What is the connection? Well, you can understand what the connection is. Knowledge is me using my mind to have a completely unadulterated understanding of every single aspect of this, so I can really fully appreciate it. And in the physical, in the sexual, that's what's happening also. We have a completely engaged experience of something, so we can be as close to it as is possible. On the wedding night, the bride and groom do not have too much time to sleep because they are involved in getting to know each other. You know what I mean? They're getting to really know each other. They're getting to really be close to each other. On the night of Shavuot, there is also this incredible, beautiful idea that we don't need our sleep. We want to be so close to God. We want to know God. How do you know God? How do you be so engaged with something that you have taken yourself to the total limit of what it means to understand them? When it comes to God, what that means is you're reading his wisdom, you're reading his words, we are learning as much as we can about God by understanding all the wisdom that he's given to us. So we, the bride, spend the whole night learning our chatan, learning what it means to be in this relationship with meaning by engaging and learning, and therefore we'll find that the custom throughout time immemorial, since the original Shavuot, is that Jewish men and Jewish women will learn through the night. They will say, wow, God, you're so special to me, and I want to get to know you better. I want to get to know you by reading your works. And that is going to be our intellectual intimacy with God. That's going to be Shavuot night. And finally, in our final minute over here, you know, we could claim that, well, the wedding was a long time ago. So what are we celebrating this year? What we're celebrating this year is an anniversary. Okay. And what is an anniversary? An anniversary is there to make sure that we didn't get so bogged down by everyday life that we forgot how much we love our marriages. It's there to bring back the spark of the original wedding. It's there to remind us to go back into that time of promise and hope and dreams that we had as a young bride and a groom, and to say, I remember that moment of all these joyful expectations that were going to happen over the years. And we've had our difficult times, and sometimes it's trying. But when I go back into an anniversary, I'm really going back into the energy of the wedding day, and I'm taking it with me. Every year we relive the privilege of having this Torah, of having this ability to not only have a meaningful life, but the responsibility of being able to share that meaning with the people around us. And we're going to celebrate our anniversary again this year. So I may not be married to you, but we all have this anniversary. So I wish us a l'chaim, to life of meaning and goodness, and have a wonderful Shavuot.